friends. It's Denise Stegall, your menopause mentor and longevity concierge, here with another episode of Healthy Living, Happy Life podcast. Today, I want to share a personal story, actually, two of them. And these aren't statistics or case studies, these are actually two women, real women that I know. Their lives paint a very vivid picture on how the choices we make determine how we age and how much life we have in our life. Last week, I talked a little bit about person number one, which is my aunt. And so this is kind of an interesting, something interesting happened since then that I see the juxtaposition of these two. So I hope you guys find this interesting and that you really can pick up the nuances from these two stories. So let me start by asking you this. When you think about getting older, what comes to mind? Right? Grandkids, freedom, traveling, doctor visits. What is it? I mean, for me, it's traveling around the world first class. Okay, I can dream, right? We definitely travel. I don't know about always first class. It's about helping people, helping women just like you forever, right? And when I'm 80, I'm still going to be helping people. This is what I do. Because there's still going to be people who are experiencing things in life where they need support, and we all need support at some time. There are lots of things that I want to do. I want to still be able to run and still exercise and swim and do all of the things that I love to do now. I love to write. I want to still be able to do that. So when I think about aging, I don't think about, or I think about all those fun things that I want to continue to do. I don't think about things that I'm afraid of or negative things. Negative breeds negative, right? We always talk about that when we hear about that when we talk about the law of attraction, right? Positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. Well, we're going to talk about the positive here, guys. Okay, that's what I hope for you. So let me ask you then. So what is it? Is it freedom? Is it energy? Is it purpose? Again, or is it doctor visits, pills, and decline, right? Decline into the reclining chair. Right. So let's talk about what's possible, because now I have seen both ends of the spectrum within the last week, basically. So last week I talked about my 81-year-old aunt who I visited when I was in England. Again, for those of you who didn't listen to last week's podcast, I'll just kind of recap. If you haven't listened to it, please go check it out on YouTube or anywhere you find your podcasts, right? So my aunt has been legally blind since childhood, so she's always needed some kind of support. This time when I saw her, though, this was very different, something heartbreaking, right? She's now almost completely immobile. She won't wear a hearing aid. I have no idea why. She needs help to move from her bed to the chair to the bed most days. And that's the extent of her life. Okay. She's not sick. She's not necessarily in pain. But she's also not living either, is she? She's existing. She's waiting. I couldn't help but ask myself, how did she get here? Right? Was this inevitable? Or was it just years of small, unchecked, not so positive choices finally catching up with her? Well, the truth is, she never ate well. She never exercised. She didn't stay connected to people, her family, really. I mean, she went to church, so she did have a group of people there, but she still came home to an empty house, right? Over time, all of that neglect kind of became normal, right? After her parents died, because she lived with her parents. She's 81, but she lived with her parents until they passed away, and they were in their 80s. So, she was probably in her 50s, before her parents passed away, and they took care of her. They cooked food for her, and so she never actually put any effort in, right? So all of this neglect of her health, not her self, really, because she lived with two people who loved her. But until her world got smaller and smaller, I think that's what really happened. All of the neglect in when it came to her health, just changed, made her world that was small enough because she was legally blind. It just made it smaller and smaller. And she started to not go out as much and really kind of retreat into herself. Now, here's the pivot, here's the contrast. I had coffee the other day with a friend of mine who's 83. She actually may be 84, but let's say she's 83. Let me tell you something. This woman is a force. She's amazing. She mows her own lawn. Every week she cleans her big, really big, beautiful home, right? She's always doing something in the house. She has a strong circle of friends who visits often. She talks to her sister on FaceTime every week, right? Her sister's not doesn't live locally. Every Sunday, she plays bridge, which is a non-negotiable for her. I was thrilled to hear this, right? Because I talk about boundaries and non-negotiables with my clients. This is something that she does for herself because she loves it and nothing else gets in the way, right? She's sharp, she's strategic. I think she's a bit competitive too, but in a good way. And at 83, maybe 84, she takes one medication for one thing that's minor. And this only happened within the last 3 months. So she's lived 83, maybe 84 years without any kind of medical issue, any kind of medication, right? It's not bad, right? The question that kept coming back to me is, how are these women who are really only 2 years apart in age, how do they live such drastically different lives? Is it luck? Genetics? Good stretch of fortune? Nope. It's lifestyle. 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 It's daily consistency. Yep. Making sure that, they're eating healthy food. My friend always has a healthy breakfast. She loves oatmeal. That's what she does in the morning. Oatmeal with some kind of fruit in it. Actually, my mom does that too. Go mom. It's the quiet, unglamorous changes, or not changes, choices that we make over and over, or that she makes over and over, right? Versus the unhealthy ones my aunt tends to make. And so this really is about, I talk about longevity. It's the longevity concierge. I talk about that a lot. And really, I'm talking about that life in your years. Rather than thinking always lifespan, we really are talking more health span at this stage in life. Yeah, when you're 54, like I am, I'm thinking lifespan. I'm thinking, many years down the road. But really, when we think of, how well we're living during those years, it really is about how healthy we are during that time. So what's really going on here, right? How do we know what lifespan is? And, well, we all know that lifespan is how long you live, right? But health span is how well we do that and how well our body holds up, basically, right? When you think of it this way, it's the number of years that you are free from chronic disease, from pain, from dependence, right? It's not just about the quality. No, it's about quality, not quantity. It's not about the numbers, but it's about the quality of life. And we talk about quality of life all the time, right? That's the whole thing that, we hear about with our kids. And even when when we're working, we want quality of life, life work balance. Yeah, that's part of it. But there's this takes that to the next level, right? It really is about the quality of life that you're living while you're living. So when I say healthy aging, I'm not talking about, wrinkles or gray hair, because we're all getting a little of both. I'm really talking about, can you walk and laugh and travel? Can you cook? Can you play with your grandkids? Can you think clearly into your 70s, 80s, and 90s? It's doable. We certainly can, but we need to make the effort today to be able to do that into our 70s, 80s, and 90s, right? We don't necessarily think when we're in our 50s that what we do today is going to matter, but what we do today and tomorrow and the next day and the next week and the next month, before you know it, guess what? You're going to wake up one day and you're 70, right? So what we do today really matters. And the truth really is, you have more control over your health span than you think, or that you've been led to believe. Okay, so let's just talk about what shortens health span, right? What chips away at our health span. And it's not about genetics. Oh, yeah, there's a piece of that. But with all the epigenetic studies that are out there, it's very true that you can have a gene in your body and with a healthy lifestyle, it never gets turned on, right? That's why you can have a family, family, there are 4 people in the family, 3 of them are obese and the one person is not, right? Part of it, what's the difference? They have mostly the same genes, right? But it's lifestyle, it's what they choose. So what genetics is not necessarily bad luck, right? There is a piece of that. Like we can't avoid all of the things, and things do happen in life. We know that, right? So it's not 100%. When we live a healthy lifestyle, we're going to live a great life forever and ever and ever. Something will eventually happen, right? Whether you get into a car accident, you're running down the road or down the trail, and you trip and fall, and you break an ankle, whatever it is, right? But this is more things that happen on a regular basis that we're chipping away at this health span, right? And most people lose these years of vitality from number one thing, chronic inflammation. I started to listen to a video earlier today, and it was going, they have the answer to weight loss, right? Their answer to weight loss was basically um, getting rid of chronic inflammation. Well, duh, right? This was just a different way to say the same thing. And how do we get rid of chronic inflammation? You need to stay away from sugar, processed foods, and sitting too much. I just said what this guy was saying. There's the secret, everyone. Okay, whatever this guy was talking about earlier. The secret to weight loss and energy is to stay away from the standard American diet. If you do realize that the acronym is SAD. Anyway, other things that help us lose or make us lose this vitality: stress and poor emotional regulation. What does that mean? Well, stress, we know what that means, but emotional outlets, like being able to, I mean, one of the things I do every now and then is just, I'm a girl, so every now and then I just have a good cry. I also meditate. I have a journal. I journal. I have a gratitude practice. Those are some of the things that we can do to alleviate that, right? Lack of muscle mass and bone density. Ladies, if you're not exercising and lifting weights, you're doing yourself a disservice, because through menopause, dropping of estrogen and testosterone, guess what? You're losing bone density and muscle mass. So you need to counter that and actually make sure that you're doing strength training or resistance training, give it a name, to make sure that you are maintaining what you have. And if you do it enough and appropriately for our age, you can actually increase both bone density and muscle mass. Poor sleep habits. Yep. No sleep, less cortisol, higher cortisol, you're gaining weight, you don't feel good, tired, and you get into this vicious cycle. Um, Isolation and loneliness, right? I remember before I got married, like, I mean, I lived alone, but I was never alone. I had my sister, my nephew was around, I had friends, I was always doing something, right? But as people get older, especially since I hate to say it, COVID, people are more and more homebodies. They become more homebodies. They don't go out as much. They don't get together as much. So isolation and loneliness really is becoming another epidemic, I think, in our lives. Um, and then another thing, and this is really, really important, because sometimes we think, oh, it's just inevitable. And these things are not inevitable. These are things that are absolutely preventable. Type 2 diabetes, heart disease, osteoporosis. Just mentioned bone density. Osteoporosis is when you're losing bone density and you basically have holy bones. Holy bones don't hold up a body, right? And if we've gained a little bit of weight, it's definitely struggling to hold up a heavier body, right? So of course, these are things that don't show up overnight, right? If they showed up overnight, we'd go, oh shit, I better fix this now, rather than, oh, we all get to it eventually, right? They build slowly over a lifetime, right? And during midlife, while we're too busy to notice, stuff is happening. And it doesn't usually affect us, or sorry, we don't usually address it until something's actually like the shit has hit the fan, so to speak, right? So flip side, what protects and prolongs health span? Health span, I love that word. Here's the good news. Again, it's in your control. You have 100% control of this, right? Research shows that 80% of chronic illness is preventable with simple, consistent lifestyle shifts. Remember those things I just talked about? Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, metabolic disease. All of those are absolutely controllable. You do not have to get any of those, right? It's about your lifestyle choices, right? And again, lifestyle choices a little bit every day, right? We're going to get better, not 100%. We're not going to look for perfection, but we're going to look to get a little bit better every day. So what do we focus on? You guys are going to be amazed what I'm going to say next. Eat real food, whole, nutritious, nutrition-rich meals, reduce inflammation. Remember I said inflammation was one of the top things that shorten our life. Yep. So eating real food instead of processed foods and a lot of sugar is going to reduce your inflammation. Daily movement, walking, strength training. I have an elliptical machine and a bike and a treadmill here at my house. I have a full gym here, right? And when the weather's cool or rainy or whatever, that's what I do. When it's nice out, I go for a run outside. I go for a walk. We live on a hill. I can do some hill workouts. Let me tell you, walking up this hill 4 times is a killer, and it takes me 45 minutes. I plan it into my day, and I assure you, if you plan exercise or movement into your day, you will accomplish it. Again, right now to start, just start walking, walk. You'd be amazed at how many people, when I'm walking in the neighborhood, I see all these people I've never seen before, right? They may be new to the neighborhood, but I think probably not. I've just never seen them. So you actually hit two birds with one stone. One, you're getting exercise, and two, you're meeting new friends, right? Get a good night's sleep, 7 to 8 hours, to let your body and your brain heal and recharge, right? Especially if you've been exercising, lifting weights, your body does need to heal. So you need that rest. Your body needs that rest. Staying connected to your friends and loved ones, right? This actually, like friendships and having a purpose, like your purpose in, like, oh, my purpose in life is XYZ, but actually having a feeling that, you mean something to people, whether, for me, it's my husband, my niece, my nephew, my sister, my mom, and of course my clients. This is, to me, this is like medicine. I love staying connected to the people that I hold in high regard, and hopefully they hold me in high regard as well. Building emotional resilience, sorry. This is where mindset work comes in and really can make a difference. And this is something that I always say, start small. I started meditating with like a 2-minute app, right? And that's great. And some days, some weeks, that's all I get to every day is a 2-minute meditation. But it stops me from going overboard with, getting too excited and too emotional on things. I do this when there's a lot going on. I can step back, kind of regroup, so to speak. And then at that point, I can breathe and move on. This helps you to respond rather than react. And I think that's something that we really are struggling with in this day and age, with social media and TV and news on all the time. We're always reacting to things. We don't give ourselves a chance to stop, think about how we feel about it, what we think about it, get the details, and then respond appropriately. And then, of course, supporting your hormones, especially those of us, perimenopause through menopause, even post-menopause, we still need to be supporting our hormones. Because again, estrogen has over 300 tasks in our body. And if we're losing estrogen, we need to make sure that we're supporting our body in a way, and our hormones in a way that doesn't that helps us to feel good, maintain a good heart health, and all the things that estrogen actually does for us. If you're curious about that, definitely pop into one of my, or I guess my next, Hormones in Harmony event, which is on July 9th. And you can find that information. I'll put it in the show notes. And it will be, you can also find it in LinkedIn. Okay. So again, this is not about perfection. It's about creating a foundation that helps you bounce back, stay strong, keep feeling good in your skin for as long as possible. So what does the research say? Okay, there's always science to back this up. This is what I do. I like the science piece. A healthy lifestyle can increase life expectancy and compress years of disability into a shorter period at the end of life. Basically, this is saying that you can live longer, healthy longer, right? And at the end, if something may happen, you may fall and break a hip, or who knows, right? But that time that people are sick is really compressed into a shorter period of time. And for some people, they don't experience that at all, which hopefully that's me, right? Hopefully that's you, right? I will put a link to the full article. It is an NIH study, so I think that's really important. So I just want you to let that sink in, right? Healthy lifestyle can increase your life expectancy, that's a bonus, and compress the years of disability or illness into a shorter period at the end of your life. So at some point, at some point we're all going to die, right? But we want to feel really, really good and be doing the things that we love to do well up until then, right? So what if your 80s and 90s are not filled with, pills and doctor's appointments, with adventure, connection, confidence, right? That is what Healthspan makes possible. So, if you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s and you're thinking, it's too late for me, blah, blah, blah. Nope, it's not. Stop thinking that way right now. Start meditating on how you want to feel, what you want to do, right? Write it down, journal about it, right? What's the story that you're writing with your choices right now, right? Are you writing a story of, oh, I'm too old, I can't make these changes. Oh, I don't want to stop changing my diet, blah, 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 right? Your future is being shaped by one meal, one walk, one thought at a time. And again, it's not about making every single one perfect, right? But 80% of the time, make them great, right? So don't wait for this perfect moment also to start. Because what if this is the moment that you're listening to me here, right? So do something small. Go out, take a walk, drink more water, eat something healthy, call a friend, right? Make a plan that is joyful. Like just think of one thing that you want to do this week, this weekend, and do it. And if you need some support, I'm here for you, right? Let's make sure that this second half of life isn't about decline. No more of that, but about rising to the version of yourself that feels strong, that feels fulfilled, and most importantly, full of life. Okay. So I'll put the link for a strategy session. Again, it's totally free, no obligation. It will help you to at least figure out what that first step is for you. We'll map out where you are, where you want to go, and how to get there on your terms. But most importantly, with compassion and accountability, right? Because it's not just about how long you live; it's about how well you live while you are here. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, everyone. I'm Denise Stegall, menopause mentor and longevity concierge. And if this message spoke to you, please send it to a friend because you never know how what you do and what you listen to and bring into your world can help others. So let's create a world where, aging well is the norm, not the exception. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Healthy living, happy life everywhere. I'll see you soon.